USA to crowds from 14 to 40,000. International leadership speaker, trainer, and coach. Author of Learn to Raw Leadership, Attitude Hack, Live a More Excellent Life, 5 Battle Strategies of a Victorious Warrior. 2021 President's Lifetime Achievement Award recipient. Founding partner of the John Maxwell team. Toastmaster International Speech Competition semi-finalist. Founder of Tell It Like It Is TV, ThatGuyRocks.com and ThatGuySpeaks.com. Creator of Story Power TV, Transforming Grace TV, and Leading Leaders Podcast. Producer of 4 TV programs and podcasts for Liftable TV and World Trumpet Television, as well as multiple social media channels. Please help me welcome J Loren Norris.
There's no way I can get all this done. There's no way. There's just too much, so many little tiny details, and I'm just one person. I said, I know, I get it, I've been there, but you need to know my friend Prado. And that's what we're going to talk about in this episode of Leading Leaders. Stay tuned.
Subscribe now for access to our extensive media library of leadership lessons promoting faith, family, and freedom. Begin your personal growth plan at StoryPowerAcademy.com for leadership development and communication skills training.
There is a retreat coming up that I want you to know about. It's called the Story Power Academy Retreat. This Story Power Retreat is about focusing on your communication skills, taking them to the next level. Discover, develop, draft, deploy, and deliver some of the best stories you've ever learned. You're going to listen, create, connect, relax, and reflect around this beautiful lake scene in Granbury, Texas. It's a chance to rejuvenate and refresh and start over with some of the best training you can possibly imagine around storytelling, leadership, and communication. Join us, get away, and relax into some great learning. I'm J Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast, and I know distractions can be the worst thing for leaders. And if you're a solopreneur, an entrepreneur, it's a very horrible thing in our life when all of these things come at us from every direction. We feel like we've got to solve every problem. It's the banking, it's the taxes, it's the IRS, it's the electric bill, it's the new merchandise, it's the shipping that didn't come in on time because of the weather delay in another part of the country. And you're thinking, I don't even have a problem here, but my customer who's 2 blocks away can't get from me what I promised them because it's stuck somewhere in the snow or the hurricane or whatever. They had a power outage in this place and now all the product is gone. We went to get milk. Just a gallon of milk. How hard is that? And the Walmart closest to us in the bad weather, everything in every cooler was done, gone, trashed. Every frozen pizza, every Hot Pocket, every block of cheese, if it had to be chilled, it was gone. Somehow, they lost all refrigeration in the entire store. They had nothing. That meant driving 10 miles, which seems like nothing, right, in the Metroplex, but add traffic, add a little slushy snow on the road, and you got a disaster. Those kind of disasters, those little detours, delays, they become distractions, and they get in the way of our hope for the future. I mean, we've got a vision, we've got a plan, we know where we're going with this, right? We built this business because we had something to accomplish in life. We wanted to get it done and get it done well. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, a snowstorm. A what? In Texas? A snowstorm. A snowstorm that basically shut down the metropolitan area 5 days. Over a weekend, and then 3 days of missed school for most places, 4 for some. How do you deal with that? Well, that's just one little microcosm, because at the same time, some people were without water. Others were without power. And you know what? The bills still have to be paid. The customer is still expected to be served. That vision that we had for what 2026 was going to look like kind of got a bumpy road for the first couple of weeks. But we got to get back on track. We've got to figure out what is it that we need to do. And that's where Pareto comes in. The Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule, maybe you've heard of it. If not, look it up. John Maxwell teaches a lot about it when he talks about time management. Dr. Jordan Peterson talks about it a lot when he talks about the people that you manage and how you manage yourself. See, the Pareto principle says that 80% of the things that take up your time, 80% of the relationships that take up your energy, 80% of the little tiny details in life that slow you down from progress, in the end, they mean nothing. I mean, John Maxwell says to do this exercise. I think it's a brilliant exercise. It might frustrate you when you've done it. Brendan Burchard coaches on it too. He has a very simplified list. So I'm going to kind of synthesize the two together. John Maxwell says take the 20 things that you do every day, and if you don't know exactly what those are, then start when you get out of bed until you get back into the bed and make a list of everything that takes up more than 30 seconds. Now, if you're really a micromanager of your own life, write down everything you do. I brush my teeth, I take my meds, I comb my hair, I dry my hair, I put in the hairspray. If you want to get that micro detailed, go ahead. But for the most part, anything that takes more than a minute or two, that's a pretty good thing to put on the list. Because what you're going to find is if it takes a minute, sometimes that minute becomes 5. And then those 5 become 20. And then those 20 become half an hour. And the little digital devices in that doom scroll, you think, I got 20 seconds while the elevator goes up. And then you get addicted to whatever it is you're looking at. Now your eyes are stuck in there for the 30 seconds of the elevator ride and the next half hour. You think it takes a minute, it almost never does. But if you make a list of all of those things, find the top 20. And then if you were to look at those 20 things, the Pareto principle would say that 5 of them, 5, actually get the work done for the day that needs to be done. The rest of them are time hogs. All they do is get in your way. They're vampires. Now, you can take this same overlay and you can move it into your relationships. And what you're going to find is there are people in your life that are as uselessly distracting, time-sucking, energy-eating vampires as TikTok, the doom scroll, the social media buzz. These are not things that are necessarily making you money. These are just things that are consuming your time, consuming your energy. And there are people in your life that are doing the same thing. If you were to look at the 20 people in your life and find the 5 that benefit you, they emotionally encourage you, they drive you forward, they believe in your passions, they hold you accountable, those are the 5 people you want to be around. Those are the 5 people that are going to make your life better. But if you find that you instead spend your time with the 5 people who always have you steeped in drama, they suck away your energy, they always demand something of you that does absolutely nothing for your vision of the future, it's always about them. These are people who maybe they hurt your feelings and they don't care, or they hurt your feelings because it's that push-pull of the abusive love cycle where they love bomb you one minute and then suck all the life out of you the next. You know, you've got people in your life like that. We all do. They populate the earth regularly. But if you look at the Pareto principle, it says that 80% of the things you do in your life are just a waste of time. And 20% of the things you do in your life are really what's moving the needle forward. What a great coach is good at, and a great coach is good for, is just asking you the tough questions until you come to the conclusion of which of those are moving you forward and which ones are not. And the more micro detailed you are in your own list, the more accountable you are to yourself for what you did with that time. Look, if you've got to spend 45 minutes in traffic every day, I get it. It's unavoidable, right? But if you spend that 45 minutes also listening to something that's going to improve your day, maybe it's a little bit of learning, maybe it's a little encouragement, maybe it's just good music that lifts your soul. But what you do with that 45 minutes doesn't have to be wasted time. It shouldn't be time that's just bubblegum for the brain. There's a phrase called redeeming the time. That means I can't get back the time. I can't not drive in traffic. I have to. I can't not pick the kids up from school. I got to do that. Well, in the things that you do in your life that are productive versus not productive, that one's usually not really profitable. Driving to work should be, But other errands, not going to make you a whole lot of money. Maybe they save you some money. Maybe there's a better way to do it. I was literally standing in the parking lot at the parts store yesterday, and I hear this obnoxious noise that sounded like 4,000 bumblebees. And I look around to find the noise, and above my head is a quadcopter drone. And underneath it is what looks like a little Hershey's Kiss package. Of course, as it got closer, I realized it's a Walmart shopping bag, a box. And a drone delivered a Walmart shopping order to the O'Reilly's parts store to somebody who worked inside. Look, if you don't have time to drop everything that you're doing to run to the grocery store to pick up cough medicine, don't. There are other solutions today. If you're looking at that list of things on your to-do list, and one of those is find milk, you might spend that time better off finding the store that has it before you go out and do what we did and spend 2.5 hours searching through all the stores to find milk. Because that was a time suck that, I mean, you got to do it. The baby's got to have milk, but is that the best use of executive time? That's the question you're going to have to ask yourself. Is there someone to whom you delegate that? I don't know. Maybe an Uber driver, maybe a grocery delivery service. I'm just saying there are options today. But see, the challenge that we have sometimes is when that line starts to blur between the distracting and the productive. Because there are some things that we have to do at work, in our jobs, in our careers, in our business, like the taxes, like payroll, like making sure that the invoices are paid, making sure that customers' things get ordered, making sure the content is created. That's where I spend most of my day. But the content that we create, whether it's for the retreats, or it's for the new learning modules, or it's for the next thing we're going to put online, or it's the learning that I need to do. It's easy for me, like everybody else, to get distracted with the minuscule. Well, if I'm going to create the new content for the retreat, I've got to have the right thumbnail or the right cover image. It's got to have all the right stuff in it. I've got to have the right video to be able to demonstrate it or to advertise it. And since I don't have a team of 40 people to do that, I get the fun of doing the graphic design. Now, I'm not the greatest at it. I know there are people that are better than me, but for the most part, I know what I want. I can get it done fairly quickly until halfway through that, I get a phone call from a client who has a crisis and they need my help like right now. And now all of a sudden that 30-minute project becomes something different. You probably can't see my hands on any of the cameras, but I still have grease under my fingernails that I haven't been able to dig out. I have scratches and cuts and all over my hands because I got delegated kind of down the line somewhere to set aside my day. I'd been doing coaching calls and editing videos for most of the day, and my daughter had a wheel bearing go out on her truck. She lives several hours away, and A, that's an expensive thing to do. B, it's really hard to get somebody to do it in the snow. And C, the brother who was going to help with that became indisposed because of the weather. So it falls on Dad. In fact, I made the comment to her. I said, you know, when I raised my girls, I told them, you should either A, marry a man who knows how to work on your car, or B, make so much money that it never matters that you have to put it in the shop. And she said, I did C. I kept 2 men in my life who know how to work on my car, my brother and my dad. And I was like, thank you for that. And so with all the improper tools, a ratchet only 6 inches long, I had to replace a rear wheel hub on an SUV. There's nothing that adds time to getting something done than trying to do that with the wrong tools. Now, I can tell you that in my life, I've experienced that many times because I've started a project and thought, it's just going to take a minute longer. It's just going to take a minute longer. It's just going to take a minute longer. Yeah, what should have been probably clock time, 2 hours. I mean, if we took it to a mechanic shop, probably would have cost $300 in labor and $600 or $700 in parts. Took me almost 7, laying in a mud puddle of melting snow, running down my backside. My hands look like I've been in a boxing match with a rock, and my legs are sore. But her wheel hub is done, and it didn't cost anywhere near that. Was that productive use of my time? For my family's sake, yes. For my daughter's sake, absolutely. Was it profitable for her? Absolutely. Saved a lot of money. For me, what does it mean? Some of the projects that I wanted to get done didn't get done at all. Some of them got shoved into today, and so I've got a lot more stuff to do today. That's life. That happens. But if that happens every now and then, that's one thing. If you make it a habit, and I'm going to step on some toes here, I know that to be true. For me, that was a moment. I love serving my kids. I love my kids. I'll go out of my way to do silly things for them and to do absolutely obnoxious things for them. But if it becomes a habit that you find distractions, I want you to let that ruminate for a moment, because if you are honest with yourself, you know you do it. You find distractions because you're procrastinating doing the things you don't want to do. Well, they're still your job. You're still the one responsible. Ultimately, if it doesn't get done, it's on you. And the lack of it getting done and all the ramifications that come with that, you get to pay the price for that. That's the way leadership works. If you don't get it done, whether you delegate it or do it, it's going to be a problem. But if you can find ways to distract rather than delegate, to distract yourself, to delay, well, you might find that you've detoured around it for now, but you're going to keep coming back to the same space. And you're going to keep coming back to the same space until it actually gets done properly. The challenge for a lot of people is they just keep looking for more distractions. They keep thinking, if I go here, it's like watching a car chase with a person from out of town. I was watching one of those silly car chase videos the other day. Yes, it was after work hours, and I was just chilling. I was watching this car chase video, and the cop that's chasing the guy says, obviously he's not from around here. He just turned on a very famous dead-end road. And the guy is flying down the road, and the cop just starts slowing down. He's doing 30 or 40 miles an hour. This guy's doing 75 miles an hour down this road. And then all of a sudden you see the brake lights come on, a puff of smoke as his tires are sliding, and he makes a U-turn, and now he's headed head-on into the three cops that are chasing him. And I'm thinking, how many times do I find people in their life, my coaching clients, whether it's in writing stories or in leadership, and they are running themselves ragged into a dead end, and you're like, dude, you might as well slow down. This is going to come to a quick halt anyway. You might as well come to a quick halt at 20 miles an hour instead of 80. But you're going to have to turn around and come right back up this same road to get out of the disaster you created for yourself by looking for distractions, detours, delays, because you don't want to do that work. Just do the work. Or as Brian Tracy says, eat the frog. Eat the frog early in the morning. Everything else will be yummy. It's the way it works. Now, there are distractions that they take away our momentum. They slow us down. These are the distractions that are that interrupting phone call, that little crisis that someone else had and now it gets dumped on your desk. The drama of relationships that kind of teeter in the balance of, do I have to have this relationship? I was talking to someone recently and they're like, look, there are people that I've just completely cut out of my life. And I'm like, well, you know, there's a great book by Gary Townsend called Boundaries. You should take a look at it. But you should also understand that if you're cutting them out of your life because they've done something that you can't let go of, that's like drinking poison and expecting them to die. You're not doing yourself any good. You're going to have to learn to forgive and, as Elsa would say, let it go. Just let it go. But yes, I agree. There are places to build boundaries and to say, you are not helpful or productive in my life. I love you. But while I've got things to do, I need you to stay over there. I need you to stay silent. Don't call me. I'm going to block your number. We'll talk on weekends or something like that. You're going to have to establish those boundaries. They will suck all your momentum away. Let me tell you what happens when things stand between you and your vision. You lose sight of your vision. And if you're compelled by the vision that you've crafted for your future, financial goals that you expect to reach by the end of the year, relationship goals that you expect to reach in the next 3 to 5 years, magnanimous accomplishments that you want for the world, things to do for others. When those things that pull you forward become blurry in your vision, you can't see them anymore. I can't see that from here. I'm so depressed about the amount of money that's currently in my bank account. There's no chance I see 6 or 8 figures this year. Not going to happen. There's no way. And at some point, here's what happens. It's not just a logical cognitive awareness that I've been off the path. I've been slowed down by these distractions. In fact, I've found these distractions to be more comforting than the discomfort of knowing I'm off track. Are you honest enough with yourself to say that? I've let myself already, the end of the first month of the new year, and I've already let go of the goals that I had set for myself for the year. I've already said the target is unattainable. I can't even see it anymore. I came in with such great ambition. I knew I had a plan, I had a strategy, and I was going to go for it. And it's just been a mess. When you get to that place emotionally, you start doing something really, really hard to fix. And that is, you change your internal story from one of, I'm ambitious, I'm motivated, I have momentum, I'm moving forward with this is going to be incredible, to, it's just not in the cards for me. I guess I'll never reach that goal. It's not in my DNA to push that hard. I was listening to, in fact, I shared it on my social media, a video from Elena Cardone. And Elena said, when I first decided that I was going to pick a husband, I wrote out the entire script. I said, this is the guy that I want to marry. He looks like this. He does this for a living. He makes this kind of money. And she said, as soon as I wrote the list, I had to be honest with myself and say, would that man want to marry this woman? Ooh, how many of us ask that question? How many of us are willing to be honest? And she said, I realized in that moment that if I found the man that I desired to be my husband, he wouldn't want the woman that I'm offering him as a wife. And so I had to change some stuff. She said, as soon as I began to change that stuff, I stopped going to the clubs. I stopped drinking like that. I stopped living that kind of lifestyle. Then Grant showed up in my life. In another video from the same interview, she said, you know, a lot of people get upset with their husbands being on social media all the time and not paying attention to me. She said, but my obligation for my husband is that you provide for our family in the best way you can. And we've had seasons of losing it all. And now we're in a season of growing. She said, we have rules for how we handle our money. And we are very disciplined and diligent about the way we handle our money. And she gave me those rules. Go back and look at my social media. You'll find it. Search Elena Cardone and watch her own interview. But then she said something else fascinating. She said, a lot of people get distracted or get upset or get jealous about their husband being on social media all the time. She said, the money that we make, the rules that we follow around our finances wouldn't exist if he didn't spend so much time on social media. Because every time he's on social media, he's building the name of our brand. And every time he's building the name of our brand, he's building the revenue of our business. And every time he's building the revenue of our business, he's following the model of the money that we establish for ourselves. And he's not letting go of that. Is he on social media and sometimes that takes attention away from me? Yes. Is he doing exactly what I expect my husband to do to pull it off? Yes. So at some point I've got to let my feelers go and let him do what makes us business. You know, that kind of relationship doesn't happen overnight. If you'd asked my wife 10 years ago, even though she was already working at a television network, hey, do you think you'll ever be on the backside of the camera running the whole production? She probably went, no, I'm not a techie person. But I'll promise you right now, if I didn't show up and somebody else had to stand in this spot, there's nothing behind the scene, well, almost nothing, that she can't do. Cameras, tripods, lights, microphones, sound, she's got it. It's because this is what we do in our business. This is how we've built our relationship around what we do. Now, is that the best use of her skills and talents? No. I know one day she'll be in a spot just like this. One day she'll be teaching and training and leading as well. And one day all the stuff that's been growing inside of her is going to come to light. And the world's going to go, wow, where have you been all my life? Well, she's been in my life. She's been supporting me. She's been bringing me here. Remember I talked about those relationships? Some of them you're like, yeah, that's not benefiting me. And then some of them, they make you better. Now, let me tell you something about the ones that make you better. Sometimes they tell you the things you don't want to hear. They tell you truths that are uncomfortable. Those are called coaches. Sometimes those are called mentors. And if you're wise, your spouse fits in both of those roles on different occasions. If you're wise, you listen to the one who shares your life with you, and they have the right to hold you accountable. They have the wisdom to do what's best, not just for you, but for the family. That's not everyone. A lot of people, their spouse doesn't even have access to their digital devices to log in and check the social media accounts, to hold them accountable for the emails that they're sending back and forth, the text messages, the conversations. I don't have a device my wife doesn't have a password to. I just don't. This is our relationship. Why? Because I don't need my relationship challenges to be a distraction to the vision that I have. We have a shared vision. We have goals that we've established together. We're working on those together. And those goals benefit both of us, as well as the business and the legacy that we're trying to build. If that's not happening in your life yet, get a coach. Get someone who will tell you the truth, who will hold you accountable, who will ask you those tough questions. Because I promise you, when you lose sight of the vision and you lose the motivation, you're not going to want to fight for it anymore. You will intentionally look for distractions, for detours. And those things will hold you down. They will keep you from reaching your goals. They will stand in your way of your success. And they will absolutely crush your potential. Now, let me also say with a little caveat, you need a mentor or a coach in your life who has a balance of mercy and motivation. Mercy and motivation. I've actually tried to work with people who believe that coaching in the way of business coaching, relationship coaching, leadership coaching, industry specific, I focus on leadership and communication. If those two things impact other areas of your life, awesome. If they make other places of your life better, awesome. Under the leadership category, we do some stuff in relationship, and my wife and I help people mentoring in marriages as well. It is not the pinnacle of what we do. It is an after effect of what we do. When you start changing your story, I can do this, I'm capable, I'm competent, I love people, I want to move forward. When you start changing that story, it's going to change your relationships. You can't get around it. But see, when you've got a coach like a football coach who just wants to drive, sometimes it just breaks your spirit. It breaks your will. Your soul wants to give up. Your mind, will, and emotions are so fractured from someone constantly pounding on you with nothing but accountability and no mercy. When you can balance motivation and mercy, when you're the kind of person who says, look, I get it. I mean, I really do. There's still going to be consequences. But I understand how you got there, and I know how you can get out. I understand what the problem is, but I also see your solution. My job is to help you discover that solution and keep walking through it until it becomes your own buy-in, your own idea, your own decision to execute on that solution. A great coach can step into your life and go, I see some distractions that, standing on the outside, I understand they may be an emotional salve. They may be your way of avoiding things you don't want to do, the unpleasant. These are procrastination techniques more than anything else. I understand that. But I also understand that there are some things that you do that are just time killers. They don't have any emotional benefit. They don't actually slow the process. You're like the guy doing 100 miles an hour into a cul-de-sac. You're running really hard, at nothing, a dead end that's going to destroy you, or force you to turn around and come back and drive the same road again going the other way, making apologies, making corrections, and trying to fix it. That's not what you want to do either. A great coach has the mercy to stand at the end of the dead-end road and go, hold on. This is a detour. This is not going to get you there any faster. Now, I'm also going to tell you, this is a sad reality. There are a lot of people who profit. There are a lot of people who profit from sending you on detours. Yeah, they stand at the end of that dead-end road with flags and they wave you in. Kind of like when you go to a big sporting event and those people stand in front of someone else's yard with flags and go, you can park here for $25. They collect your money and then leave. And the homeowner comes home and has your car towed. And you're like, I'm out $20 and my car and now an impound fee. Yeah, they just got the $20 and ran. I mean, they parked 25 cars. They're good to go for the day. That's not a good place to be. But it happens. And there are people who will profitably, for their own profit, not for yours, send you down a detour, send you down a dead-end road. They'll wave you in. A good coach will step in there and go, hold on, I'm looking at the GPS. That road goes nowhere. I know it's sold well. It's got a great entry gate, but it goes nowhere. And in fact, you can't even get out without puncturing your tires. Don't make that turn. Somebody who cares about you is going to do that. But you've got to trust that somebody, that they have your best interest at heart, that they've seen the picture of your vision and went, I agree, that's a good place for you to go. And you have the skill set. Now let's make sure that you're ready in every other way to pull this off. Tony Robbins is doing his Rise event right now. I highly recommend you can get into the free version. You can just jump on YouTube and watch along with the free version. Yesterday, though, he really challenged people at the end to ask themselves about the story they're telling. What does that inner you say about your success? What does that inner you say about your relationships? What does that inner you say about your finances, about your past? Change the story and change your life. I say it a little differently. Transform your story, transform your life. That's what story power ultimately is all about. And we teach people to tell better stories. That's the internal. That's the mirror. And then tell better stories. Better, that's the media. That's the outside. That's the expression of yourself and your business and your attributions and your ambitions. If you've lost your ambitions because distractions are in the way, probably time to make a list of all those things that you do every day and ask yourself, what are the 20%? Do I have 100 things that I do? Then find the top 20 and shuffle them around until you realize those top 20, those are the ones that take you to the next level. And those other 80, look, if you don't get to them, you don't get to them. Maybe you delegate them, maybe you delete them. But if you don't have to do it, do the ones that make you successful. Do the ones that move you forward. Do the ones that are good for your family and good for your future. And you're going to find you're a whole lot more content and a whole lot more productive in life. And if you don't have the kind of coach that'll walk you through those things, that'll point out those distractions and help you dispel them, get one and do it fast. I'm J Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast for Tell It Like It Is TV. Have a blessed day.
Subscribe now for access to our extensive media library of leadership lessons promoting faith, family, and freedom. Begin your personal growth plan at storypoweracademy.com for leadership development and communication skills training. Subscribe.